But let me start tonight with that big war. A day after, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi leveled bribery charges against Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a verbal duel has broken out in public between the two. In an address in Varanasi, the Prime Minister mocked Rahul Gandhi, taunting his oratory skills. Rahul replied in a rally in Bharuch in UP, claiming that it was all right to mock him, but why wasn't the Prime Minister answering the bribery charges?
उनके एक युवा नेता हैं, अभी भाषण सीख रहे हैं, ऐसे करते वो भी ऐसे करें।
आप मेरा जितना मजाक उड़ाना चाहते उड़ाओ, मगर आप देश के युवाओं का और मेरे सवाल का जवाब दो।
A barrage of old allegations, sarcastic low blows, and personal jibes. This is what the demonetization debate has been reduced to. A day after Rahul Gandhi hurled bribery charges against Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister rebutted with taunts from a podium in Varanasi.
6 महीने में 9 बार सहारा के लोगों ने अपनी डायरी में लिखा है कि हमने नरेंद्र मोदी जी को पैसा दिया है।
उनके एक युवा नेता हैं, जब से उन्होंने बोलना सीखा है और बोलना शुरू किया है, मेरी खुशी का कोई पार नहीं है।
As the fight got personal, Rahul Gandhi accused the Prime Minister of sidestepping allegations.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी से 2-3 सवाल पूछे भ्रष्टाचार के बारे में, उनसे मैंने सवाल पूछे, सवाल के जवाब नहीं दिए।
Rahul Gandhi was quick to say that he was unfazed by the mockery.
न बोलते तो बड़ा भूकंप आ जाता था और देश को इतना बड़ा भूकंप झेलना पड़ता, ये देश 10 साल तक उभर नहीं सकता था।
भ्रष्टाचार के बारे में उनसे मैंने सवाल पूछे, सवाल के जवाब नहीं दिए, मगर जो सवाल पूछ रहा था उसका मजाक उड़ाया।
The answer he demands are answers to allegations raised by many others before. Allegations that have already been junked by the Supreme Court.
He made allegations which were rejected thrice by court. So where are the allegations? They have been thrashed by the court for thrice, and now he is claiming something as a new, which is a stale story.
सच ही किसी बुजुर्गों ने कहा है कि उम्र बढ़ने से अक्ल नहीं बढ़ती है, और पप्पू रह गए पप्पू।
The Gandhi scene's allegations surely did not send the Richter scale soaring, but Congress says it has more up its sleeve. But with the fight getting only personal and Rahul's claims just seeming to be empty threats, the debate that was for the Aam Janta has been reduced to a mere verbal spat. Bureau Report, India Today.
But I want to raise the big question today. I have with me some of the notings of the diaries, and I want to raise the question, do these deserve a full investigation, or will this simply be another political tu-tu meh-meh? Do these diaries deserve a full investigation? Joining me now, Ajay Kumar, spokesperson of the Congress, Soli Sorabji, former Attorney General, Nalin Kohli is the national spokesperson of the BJP, Yogendra Yadav is the founder of the Swaraj Abhiyan, and Biswajit Bhattacharya, former Additional Solicitor General with Javed Ansari, our executive editor. Thank you all very much for joining us. I want to come to you, Soli Sorabji, as the eminence grise of the judiciary in this country for a simple question. Do you believe that these diary notings, like the Jain Hawala diary notings of the 1990s, deserve at least a full investigation?
Well, depends on the contents of the diaries. I mean, you can't just make, I mean, investigation, certainly no one is above investigation, no one is above the law. But there should be credible, cogent evidence to warrant it. Can't just allegations without any supporting material. And that really reduces the respect of the common man for the office of the Prime Minister. I'm not concerned about who is the person as the Prime Minister, the office of the Prime Minister. And thereafter what happens? He loses faith in democracy, the working of democracy. So that's why I'm very particular, rather very...
So are you saying that these, are you saying the notings, are you saying, sir, the notings per se... Are you saying, sir, the notings per se acquired during an income tax raid in 2013 are not enough prima facie for an investigation to be ordered?
Well, that's not the view the Supreme Court took. That gives them more material, then they look into it. And I think the Supreme Court was right in that observation.
Okay, let me just take that to Biswajit Bhattacharya, because
you can make allegations galore.
Right, you're saying you cannot on the basis of allegations only order an investigation. Biswajit Bhattacharya, Hawala Jain diaries, 1995, that resulted in several politicians, senior politicians having to step down from office. Here again I have a reminiscence, this is almost eerily reminiscent of Hawala diaries, because the notings include politicians from all parties with names being attached. Now, should, as Soli Sorabji is saying, and as the Supreme Court has said on more than one occasion, these documents need authentication. You need more evidence than just diary notings which may or may not be true before you order an investigation. I'm only talking about investigation. I'm not saying guilty at the moment. Are these enough prima facie in your view to order an investigation?
Let me answer in the basic affirmative, yes. Having said that, let me also say that as far as Jain Hawala diary is concerned, I happen to represent the accused in 1995 and ultimately, under section 34 of the Indian Evidence Act, diaries and books of accounts kept in the regular course of business are basically relevant and admissible, but they are not sufficient to fasten liability. So therefore an investigation is only in the context of, that's why Mr. Vinit Narayan under Article 32 of the Constitution of India, when Jain Hawala diary were also seized by virtue of a raid conducted by the Central Bureau of Investigation in 1994-1995. That is why Supreme Court swung into action and the bench of Honorable Justice J.S. Verma, Justice Bharucha and Justice S.C. Sen, reacting to the Article 32 Constitution, ordered an investigation. CBDT chairman and ED also appeared
to find out whether there is liability.
Ultimately, the Supreme Court, by a bench by Honorable Justice M.K. Mukherjee, found that there was no corroborative evidence. So investigation by itself means nothing. In fact, investigation can exonerate a person also.
That's interesting. Therefore, the question, Nalin Kohli, that is being posed by me today is only purely in terms of investigation. I don't think there is anyone who is saying that these diary notings by themselves per se suggest guilt in any way.
Absolutely not.
Would you therefore, Nalin Kohli, as the BJP representative today on the program, say, rather than the Prime Minister mocking Rahul Gandhi, just order an investigation and let the investigation decide? Or do you believe the Supreme Court must order the investigation? Why should the government not on its own prove to the world that the Prime Minister, as Ravi Shankar Prasad claims, is pure as Ganga, and just order an investigation and let's see what the investigation yields?
I'll give you three specific answers to this. First, I would say that if you wanted to bring this question, you should have also brought in the observations of the Honorable Supreme Court in a bench no less than Justice Keher, who's now going to be the Chief Justice on the 4th of January, and Justice Mishra. And what they said to the petitioner, that was Mr. Prashant Bhushan, repeatedly asking for evidence, and then of course there were these scandalous comments by Mr. Bhushan, which was that after you go through 2 hearings to say that you should not hear it, raising questions on the institution of the CJI. So I think you should have brought that report also in, because fundamentally on law, and as Soli sir was saying, and to an extent Mr. Bhattacharya said, what is the credible evidence around it? So I'll give you now in an example, Rajdeep. Let me assume that forget everybody else, or let me assume a person is absolutely corrupt. That person keeps a diary in which he writes down Rajdeep Sardesai's name, my name, etc. Against it writes down figures, then writes down we visit maybe brothels or things like that, and then goes around with the business of the day, which is all criminal work. Gets arrested, then he produces this diary with all big names, and then you say let's launch an investigation and the person should step down and all that. So that could be done for judges, it could be done for anybody, and you would just have, there has to be more corroborative evidence. Is there a trail? Is there a conversation? Harshad Mehta went to the Prime Minister's office, so there was more to the story. So just because a diary is there, or someone creates a diary also as a step to prevent, you know, to create an allegation, does that mean you stop the entire working of the criminal investigation in normal routine, then start a whole witch hunt in which you say that people should, because they are occupying high offices, step down? It doesn't work like that. Let there be something more credible, and he who makes the accusation has to bring something more credible than just in the Jain diary. Also, that was one of the defenses, by the way. If I recall, it was probably Mr. Jethmalani who said, my lord, probably, this is what I've heard, I wasn't there.
Sir,
say that, my lord, I can produce a diary with your name also, then what will we do?
So you can certainly produce it.
We are dragging an allegation, which is the politics of Mr. Kejriwal, and perhaps from the same stable, it's continuing.
You know, Ajay Kumar, where is the corroborative evidence? I think what is the critical question is, yes, diary notings have been found. The question is, anybody, and there Nalin Kohli has a strong point, anybody could put diary notings, he says. How do you know that these diary notings are A, authentic, and B, do you have any corroborative evidence to back up these notings that the Prime Minister indeed received money from Sahara or from Birla?
Look, Rajdeep, with great respect to what Mr. Sorabji has said and other distinguished panelists have said, the fact is, we are saying it's a diary. This was recovered by the income tax and the CBI on a, excuse me, on a joint raid on a laptop of Mr. Sudhanshu Amitabh, who is a group vice president of Aditya Birla Group, the first person. And then the income tax, the noting of the income tax, and I'll just read 2 lines of it. They said that Sri Amitabh has not come out with the complete truth and has been evasive with regard to some of the relevant transactions, considering the highly incriminating nature of the transaction of the data retrieved from the laptop and hard disk, and evasive replies and unsubstantiated claims made by him. It would be imperative for the assessing officer to scrutinize the data available in the seized documents, including the laptop and the hard disk. Then what happens? The CBI refuses to give this data to the income tax. So the income tax goes to the Supreme Court to get an order in July 2014 saying that the CBI has to give us this data. So the question, this is as far as the Aditya Birla issue goes. As far as the Sahara issue goes, it's not a diary. It's again an Excel sheet recovered from the laptop. Excel sheet recovered which says that such and such payments were made. Now, with all due wisdom, would you not investigate into it and investigate? And now we are saying that the Supreme Court has fixed up another date.
I hope you know. I hope you know that these diaries were recovered when you were in power. Mr. Ajay Kumar, I hope you know that these diaries were recovered when you were in power. You were in power in October, November when the diaries were recovered. You did not act on it.
Would you like to point out that?
Correct. So Nalin, let me complete fundamental issue.
And there are names of congressmen also. And there are names of congressmen also. There are names of congressmen also in these diaries.
And it should be inquired into. Rajdeep, the first question again is, what is Mr. Gandhi or what has the Congress been saying? The Prime Minister's name is, he was a Chief Minister, the Prime Minister candidate, now the present Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, it should be investigated. Now the question is, was the UPA too vindictive? Not we were vindictive. We could have started a press conference then and started that Narendra Modi has been taking. The question is, it's a matter of investigation. The CBI and the income tax conducted a raid. What does Mr. Modi say? And Mr. Modi's name is there on the Excel sheet. Is the Excel sheet allowed in the Indian Evidence Act? Now it is allowed out in the Indian Evidence Act. The income tax go and file a writ against the CBI for not providing data. It went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gave direction. Now the question is, can a public have adequate, one second, Rajdeep, I'll just finish it. I'll just finish it, sir.
Yes.
So can the public be adequately, can they produce adequate evidence? They can't. So you need an investigation to expose this. And what does Mr. Modi do? He continues to mock and sidestep it. We are just asking questions.
You're just asking questions. Nalin Kohli, do respond. The manner in which the government over the last 2 years seems to be almost trying to play this down. The manner in which the government seems to have dealt with this issue before the Settlement Commission. Officers have been transferred out who are asking those inconvenient questions. That raises some doubts. Why doesn't the government doodh ka doodh, pani ka mani? Let us have an investigation and finish off the matter. No one is saying the Prime Minister is guilty or any of the people here named are guilty. But surely an investigation, the officer concerned, Ankita Pandey, she can be asked questions and this can be put to rest.
That question is to me, I guess, Mr.
Yes,
Sardesai.
yes, Mr. Kohli.
Yes. Okay, first of all, just a quick retort to what my friend Ajoy was saying. So here's interesting. During the UPA, the raid takes place in which the income tax and the CBI under the UPA will not act together. They have to finally go to court. And during the UPA, when everything in Gujarat was being done, including fabricated affidavits, including somehow fixed Mr. Modi, they couldn't even ensure an investigation then. Is this some kind of joke? By the standard they are saying, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi's name appears in the corroborative evidence with what is happening in Italy. So he should ask probably an investigation against Mrs. Sonia Gandhi personally. So I think now the question that you are asking
let him finish, please.
In terms of why not let an investigation happen, there has to be something more corroborative. There has to be something more corroborative.
I take your point.
Hello?
I take your point. Just a minute. Just a minute. Let me take that.
Otherwise, I stand with my example.
Okay.
With a diary in your pocket, write any name, get Dawood Ibrahim downwards to the pettiest criminal in the city to keep all possible names that he feels would make a big storm, and then say, let's now start investigating all these bogus claims.
Okay. I take both the points of the major parties, though there are still questions that I have, because it's not every day that a diary in such detail is found during an income tax raid. So we cannot be entirely dismissive either. But Yogendra Yadav, since Prashant Bhushan, who's part of Common Cause, has gone to the courts on 3 separate occasions, the court has raised questions. I'm asking you very straight, is this enough in your view to actually order an investigation, or is this now a political battle, Yogendra Yadav, where any effort is being made somehow to tar the Prime Minister's image, to embarrass the Prime Minister?
Soli Swarabji has, I think, laid a very correct thing. He says the information should be credible, it should be cogent. I wish to submit that it is more credible and more cogent than what we had in Jain Hawala, than what we had in that entire scandal around Bofors, and then what we had in the beginning, in the very beginning of the 2G, 3G Colgate scam investigations. And the reasons are the following. Number one, this information is not vague, it is very detailed. Who paid money to whom, on which date, via whom, how much amount. Number two, as you rightly said, it is not that someone is walking with a diary in his pocket and wants to implicate someone else. This is captured during a raid in which lots of incriminating material against the person on which raid was conducted is there. So they were obviously not waiting for a raid to happen. Number three, this is an information which is authenticated by the income tax officers. As you have rightly said, their signatures are there on the paper. Number four, it is subsequently verified. Sahara papers have not been fully verified, but the Birla papers, there is an appraisal report. And that, incidentally, my friends, are the 2 volumes which the Supreme Court is yet to take a look at. Prashant Bhushan has submitted that, and the appraisal report comes to the conclusion that all the documents are prima facie genuine, that some action needs to be taken. And that is the point where the government changes. And the
but you know, Yogendra Yadav, sorry.
Credible, Rajdeep,
sorry to intervene. You know that on the 3
take place, one during Congress regime, one during BJP regime, and in both the raids, people from both parties are caught.
The fact though, Yogendra Yadav, is on 3 separate occasions, Prashant Bhushan has made precisely these arguments before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has said, please come with more evidence. This is not enough credible evidence.
On first occasion, the Supreme Court largely referred to the Sahara papers. They said it's fictitious. They have not, and there are questions about the genuineness of Sahara papers. Lots of people have questioned it. On the second occasion, Prashant Bhushan said, give me more 2 days. After 2 days, Prashant Bhushan goes there with that the 2 additional volumes of appraisal reports which have not yet been looked at by the court. Prashant Bhushan goes with detailed things. He does not, and I just want to correct my friend Nalin Kohli, he does not actually say anything scandalous against Justice Keher. Justice Keher is one of the most respected judges of the Supreme Court. Prashant Bhushan would never say that. He simply said, on the day when a file for his own elevation is pending with the PMO, that's probably not the right day for Indian judiciary for the Supreme Court to pass a judgment on that Prime Minister. That's all he said. He in fact insisted that it should be in his court.
Somewhere there was a questioning as a result.
Prashant Bhushan said, no, I do not want you to recuse.
I would like to come in.
No, just a minute, Nalin Kohli, because there was a question some would raise, and the reports are very clear that the manner in which Prashant approached the court suggested in that intervention that he was questioning the locus of Justice Keher to hear the case on a day when he was likely to be elevated as Supreme Court Chief Justice. I just want to look at the politics for a moment, because the politics is critical. We've heard all the legal arguments, we are hearing the arguments that have taken place in court, but Javed Ansari, Rahul Gandhi will have to provide more corroborative evidence. At the moment, what he has done is simply copy-pasted what Arvind Kejriwal put before the Delhi Assembly. My question is, does Rahul Gandhi have that corroborative evidence which will actually make this some kind of an earthquake, or is he simply now shooting in the dark?
Look, for one,
does the Congress believe that he has additional corroborative evidence?
Well, certainly, and this is not just if Congress leaders are to be believed, this is first of the many such revelations that are going to come out. And
in the same case or in different cases?
Probably in different cases. I cannot say for sure, but certainly what we can say with certainty based on my conversations with senior Congress leaders is that there is more that they will come out. As far as the investigations and the politics of it is concerned, no proof was provided when allegations were made against the former Prime Minister. When those allegations were made and allegations that were made against the Gandhi family, no proof was provided, yet allegations were made. It's imperative. You can laugh it away, but you can't brush it aside. These need to be answered. I need to know that my Prime Minister is chaste, that he's above suspicion.
You know, that's
in a democracy, everybody is accountable and must be held accountable.
You know, that's in a way, some would say the perspective that the opposition parties are putting, but there is something to it, Nalin Kohli, for you to respond. You know, did the Prime Minister today need to mock Rahul Gandhi? Instead of focusing on the allegations, he seemed to be questioning Rahul Gandhi's oratory. Somewhere is in that attempt to dismiss what Rahul Gandhi is saying without addressing the central question. Did the Prime Minister at any stage, on those very dates mentioned in the diary, seek money of any kind from Sahara or from Birla?
First, I would now like to correct Yogendra ji. I don't think it is a matter of expressing respect for someone who's going to be the Chief Justice of India, and that is Justice Keher, whom we all respect.
Sir, that matter is over. Let's focus on this question.
That he's incapable of adjudicating
sir, let's not get into the Justice Keher issue.
He's been hearing. No, I must answer.
No, please focus on my question. Should the Prime Minister be mocking Rahul Gandhi instead of addressing the questions which are very serious?
I will. I'm not running away from your question. No, of course. But the Prime Minister of India, the only link between the Prime Minister and the Chief Justice of India is, or the one who's going to be the Chief Justice, is what Prashant Bhushan ji tried to do, is insinuate that Justice Keher could not have heard it after hearing it twice because,
okay, that matter sorted,
according to him, his file was pending with the Prime Minister.
Sir, answer my question.
So I don't know whether that is
Please answer my question
to the
now.
person who will be the next Chief Minister. Now let's get down to your question.
Yes.
In terms of mocking, in terms of mocking, as you call it, mocking Rahul Gandhi ji, I don't think the Prime Minister was mocking. He was probably having a light moment. And if he had to answer all the questions, the next would the Prime Minister have to start referring to, things like balloons. Now that may be the kind of language, or those may be, I don't know where those images come from, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, but is the Prime Minister now to start talking in terms of balloons? He spoke in terms of the earthquake, which is what Mr. Rahul Gandhi said. There's nothing serious there. When Mr. Rahul Gandhi does something serious, comes up with something that he shows in terms of a track record that's serious, even attending Parliament seriously, speaking in Parliament seriously, then perhaps somebody may take him seriously to want to answer something which is absolutely silly. A wild allegation like Mr. Kejriwal does. Now, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is entitled to be the next Mr. Kejriwal. That is between him and Mr. Kejriwal, who makes more wild allegations. The Prime Minister is entitled to continue working.
Okay, you are saying effectively that these allegations are non-serious, don't deserve a serious response. Ajay Kumar, if the Congress party therefore is so confident of these arguments, the question I put to Mr. Ansari as well, either you come up with corroborative evidence or come up with additional information. Because at the moment then it will seem that the Congress party is itching to make this a political battle rather than a legal battle. Because in the courts itself, there is a question mark over whether this is enough for you to sustain an investigation.
Look, Rajdeep, there is the adequate information coming in from all quarters. And look at it, I'll give you an example. The Prime Minister is not only mocking, he's been mocking the opposition, and he continues to use the worst kind of languages, whether it is 40 crore girlfriends and now the BJP giving us a lecture on how to speak English or how to term political opponents is ridiculous. The fact is GSPC, take the Gujarat State Petroleum Corporation, CAG report pending for 2.5 years, 20,000 crore scam, Chief Minister at that time, Narendra Modi ji, totally, the report is not being tabled. Saurabh Patel was a minister. Saurabh Patel was a minister during his
Why don't you go? If you believe this evidence is so strong, go to court like Prashant Bhushan. Why are you going into the political battle? If you believe this investigation is so, you go to court. Why don't you join Prashant Bhushan in the argument? If you believe you have such strong evidence,
Rajdeep,
put the evidence before the court.
Rajdeep, the question. First question is, it's a legal battle, but it's also a political battle. The country has been fooled by the maximum amount of money which was spent, the money power of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the using of the demonetization in Orissa to buy land.
Sir, I ask you a question, please answer my question. Why is the Congress... The Congress wants to fight a political battle because there are elections coming. Is this about elections or is this about going to court? Go to court.
First question is, we are not rattled. Look, Nalin, relax. The way Mr. Modi is behaving, he seems to be rattled. The question is very simple. It's a legal battle, it's a political battle. It's also obviously a political battle. If you ask a political party, why? Because we want to expose the Bharatiya Janata Party and the bunch of lies they propagate. And the integrity, can I complete, Mr. Kohli, sir? Mr. Kohli, sir, I didn't interrupt you, so please let me complete. The fact is that the Prime Minister is running, the Prime Minister has to deflect, has to hide behind while he smiles. He's rattled definitely, and let him explain.
Okay, you believe the Prime Minister is rattled? Okay, sir, you made your point. You made your point, sir. You made your point. Mr. Kohli, I just want to get final comment. Mr. Kohli, just a minute.
Abusing us.
Sir, just a minute, Ajay Kumar. I have to say, everyone needs a chance to get a final comment. Mr. Kohli, first to you. Has Rahul Gandhi got under the Prime Minister's skin? That under that mocking note that he struck today, Rahul Gandhi in his own small way has got under the Prime Minister's skin for the first time. Perhaps the first time since he used Soot Boot Ki Sarkar, which also got under his skin. Yes or no? Short answer.
Certainly not. I found this the last part very amusing. We thought Mr. Rahul Gandhi's comments were amusing, but the effect it's having in terms of the whole Congress party being forced to defend it and considering us rattled when they are rattled themselves is even more amusing. Okay. So I think this is adding to a comic sense of Indian politics, not a serious sense.
Okay, you believe it's a comic sense. Yogendra Yadav, politicians will continue to call it comic, but as a citizen, we all know that politicians get funding from corporates before elections. Do you therefore believe that this is a case where you are throwing some mud and hoping that it will stick, because there is a belief that politicians, including possibly at the highest level, do take money before elections?
Certainly not. It's not the case of throwing mud and hoping that it's sticking. As Mr. Bhattacharya had said right in the beginning, this much evidence is not sufficient to conclude that he is guilty. but it is certainly sufficient to start investigation, and that's all that's being demanded.
Okay.
Frankly, when I heard Rahul Gandhi yesterday, I thought he had diluted the case because he had failed to mention the complicity of the Congress. He was simply repeating. It was a bit of damp squib. But when I heard the Prime Minister today, I mean, rather undignified way of responding to it, I also felt, तुम इतना क्यों मुस्कुरा रहे हो? क्या गम है जिसको छुपा रहे हो?
तुम इतना क्यों मुस्कुरा रहे हो?
Otherwise, I would have expected the Prime Minister to say,
yes,
these are lies, these are jokes.
Okay.
क्या गम है जिसको छुपा रहे हो?
क्या गम है जिसको छुपा रहे हो? Let me therefore get the two politicians, the two lawyers, said, including the singing
all
lawyer.
This is a bunch of lies. I'm happy for investigation. I will go to the court and I will take it to this.
Okay. Okay, let me get the two lawyers, including the singing lawyer, Biswajit Bhattacharya, who when he's not in the courts also sings Kishore and Mohammad Rafi song. तुम इतना क्यों मुस्कुरा रहे हो? क्या गम है जिसको बुला रहे हो? Is that something that you believe in the courts needs to be settled through an investigation? Can there be a quick, swift investigation so the Prime Minister's name is cleared if he is indeed in the clear?
Absolutely,
is that possible, or will this drag down?
Absolutely. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is my Prime Minister.
Yes.
So therefore, in the interest of the country, in the interest of the Prime Minister, but here is one question which I would like to pose.
Yes.
Entire matter is pending before the Supreme Court on the 11th of January. The matter
has not been dismissed.
The matter is open, and what kind of evidence has been placed before the Supreme Court, I don't know.
Okay. So we wait till the 11th of January.
Correct.
Unfortunately, politicians are not willing to wait till the 11th of January. Let me give Soli Sorabji the final word, sir. Do you believe that the court on the 11th of January, on the basis of what the politicians are saying, will in any way be influenced? Do you believe this is now out of the legal domain and has now moved into the political domain, sir? And does that put additional pressure on the court?
No, Radeep, no question of pressure on the court. The court will go and satisfy itself whether there is cogent, convincing, corroborative material. You don't start the investigation just at the drop of a hat. And that also, things which was done so many years ago. The whole question is, if you start investigation on this basis, then democracy will be affected. People's faith in Parliament will be affected. That's what worries me.
Sir, I take your point, but I will also ask you, sir.
I'm worried about the effects.
Sir,
of this.
I take your point, but where does that leave?
Court?
Now, are you saying, therefore, in an income tax in an income tax raid, if documents are found, they should not be inquired and investigated into?
But depends what documents, what is the evidence which has to be seen. But actually, if I may tell you, Radeep, this is a little premature. On the 11th, let's see what the court, after looking at the documents, what conclusions it arrives at.
Okay.
We are just jumping the gun now at this stage.
Okay, we are jumping. I think that's well put. We are jumping the gun.
Investigation is a serious matter.
I take your point, sir. I take your point. We are jumping the gun is the fear that Soli Sorabji has. Others, the politicians of the opposition, believe this is enough evidence in a way to clearly suggest that dal mein kuch kala hai. The government says that Rahul Gandhi has made a fool of himself. Let's leave it at that, because at the end of the day, who knows who will have the last laugh this time.